We've been on mission team, we've left our homeland, we've been to another country, and now we're heading home. What's that look like? How does it feel? What does it all mean? As we head home, sometimes it's a bit like a space shuttle. A shuttle can come in well at the right angle, or it can come in at the wrong angle and not have a good, successful re-entry. We've seen many space shuttle missions, haven't we? Many departures are a little tentative. Some sustain a little damage on the way. Maybe a landing site has changed. All missions are different. Nearly all successful in their individual ways. And once it's over, there's time to review, to repair, and assess for the future. Not unlike our own experience in our own mission teams. Now it's time for an end of some things and a start of some other things. An end to a foreign experience, but the beginning of feeling foreign, perhaps in our own culture. An end to being or feeling special, but the beginning of being ordinary, with a special heart though for God and for His people. An end to being stared at, but the beginning of looking at people from the world through different eyes. An end to simple living, but the beginning of a different lifestyle. An end to crowded housing and the beginning of having space for God and for people. An end to eating foreign food, but the beginning of friendships with foreign people. I know of one person who came home after a team and just felt, after the simple lifestyle that they'd experienced on team, that as they came back home and into their bedroom, that they just didn't feel quite right. They didn't feel comfortable in this room. It was too comfortable, in fact. The comfortable bed, the good stereo, the nice television, all of these things too much. So that person moved out of their room and into the garage on a plain old mattress and was there for a few months while they transitioned, if you like, from a simple living that they had had in their team experience back into their homeland. Returning home can be much more difficult than leaving home. We experience low energy levels, maybe not feeling quite well. Friends will not be as excited as you are about your trip. They've not been where you've been. They've not seen what you've seen. You've been in an exciting environment, spiritually and emotionally, while away, coming home now to what may seem, by comparison, a humdrum lifestyle. You've seen God do extraordinary things in your life, and home may not be quite so exciting. The time of short-term ministry is a powerful time, and God changes our lives during these times. You've also been in a fairly protected environment in some ways, a sheltered one, where we've grown and changed and developed. People on team with us have had often a good foundation in Jesus. Most have an interest in missions, of course, and that's why they're there and are interested in China specifically, perhaps. There's generally been an environment of encouragement and support and envisioning. You'll be going home, perhaps, though, to a place where your friends are not going to be there to support you. Some of you will experience maybe even a spiritual backlash, a sense of depression or disappointment or disillusionment. Things weighing on us and pulling us back. Satan will try to minimize the impact as best that he can. He'll try to take away what God started. 85% of career missionaries started out with a short-term experience like you've just had. It's a very important part of God's plan, leading His people in finding their place in world missions. Are you called to send? Are you called to go? Are you called to support or to welcome strangers in your land? The danger is not just the pain and the problems that might come our way, but that these difficulties may take away much of the energy that God has put into us during our time on team and blur the direction that we've received for our lives. We can't do anything against many of the things that will come our way, but we can prepare our hearts, and when these things are happening, we'll know what to look out for. But watch out, because things can take us by surprise. We can be just doing some gardening and all of a sudden something that's happened on team will just come flooding back to us and give us a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a surprise. Hey God, we weren't expecting to picture that child's face again while I was gardening. And it can set us back sometimes. It's the unexpected things that take us by surprise. What was once familiar now isn't that comfortable. Something's changed, something's altered. It's like a time shift. We're a little bit out of sync. Suddenly you find yourself out of phase in your own culture. Things are not the way they used to be. Nobody seems to care. Nobody really understands me. There can be lots of contributing factors. We need to watch our stress levels. The dolphins in this picture may appear to be nearly identical when viewed by stress-free people. This test isn't, it's not a medical test, so don't put too much weight on what you see. But if the dolphins are not the same, are you under stress? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe we're stressed, maybe we're just tired. But seriously, there are things that we need to watch out for. Disorientation, a feeling of not being quite in the right place. Restlessness, a feeling that nobody understands or our experience, nobody cares. Maybe a sense of tiredness or listless. We can become a bit critical towards our home country, its waste or extravagance. Sometimes we can feel a bit lost, a bit like just another cog in the big wheel. Sometimes we have trouble communicating our ideas. Sometimes there's just a sense of dissatisfaction with where life's at the moment. We get a bit defensive sometimes. Confusion can come in. Maybe we feel a bit rejected. All of these things can cause us to really have this difficult re-entry time and say, God, what is going on here? What is happening? We've left a culture, we've gone to another one, and we've come back to one that we're different. We've been changed in our new in the culture that we've visited within China and the time that we've had there, and we come back and we're different. So what should we do? What do we need to watch out for? What do we need to be doing? Well, firstly, we need to be patient. Things aren't going to change for us in just a few moments, so we need to be patient. We need to find a good friend, someone who won't just listen to us and ask us how we're going, and we say, yeah, we're going fine, and they say, that's good, do you want to go out? No, find a good friend who will actually push you for the real answers of how you're feeling after and through the experience that you've had on team. A good friend that will pray with you through these things and through these experiences. Spend time with God. Journal it. Write it down so that in a year or 2 or 3 you can look back and see in the bigger picture what's been going on. Search God out in all of this. Don't sit back trying to do it on your own, but God, what are you saying to me about my relationship with you through all of these experiences? Remember your sense of humour. Don't take everything too seriously. Have a bit of a chuckle. Have a bit of a laugh at yourself when you catch yourself doing funny things. Establish good expectations. If somebody says to you, hey, come and, let's sit down and tell us all about your trip. Well, they may not be able to sit there while you tell them all about your trip. Maybe it's a couple of minutes. Maybe it's 10 minutes. Establish good expectations. Don't hope that they're going to listen to you for an hour. Watch out about what and how you share. When we've been away on team, it's not, hey, I'm pretty good, I did all this, I did that. But rather, hey, did you hear what God did through our team? Give God the glory for what has gone on. It's He who called you to be on team. It's He who empowered and equipped you, and who is now walking you through that process. We speak and share out of humility. And watch our diet and our drink and make sure that we have good times with God when we get home. We don't need to go into a cave so much We need to be there with him and to enjoy life with our friends still. You know, it's important to have a good testimony prepared. Sometimes you'll have a minute to answer somebody's question about your team, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So if you've got a testimony, a word of encouragement, a word that glorifies God to share with somebody who can give you 1 minute, that's fantastic. If they give you 5 minutes, you've got an extra little bit of a testimony there, or 10 minutes likewise. Be prepared to share something that will uplift and encourage the person and point them towards God about what's happened through your team. And remember that God is a God of completeness. Stage 1, he called you on team and you responded. Stage 2, of course, the team happened and he touched you and touched others through you. And stage 3, you're now heading home, or you've got home. He's going to complete the good work that he's begun. That's fantastic. He doesn't leave us alone. He walks through it, the whole process, through our whole life. And this team is just part of that. But he's a God of completeness, and we praise him for that. Thanks for coming on, team. Thanks for being a part of what we've been able to do to touch lives in China. Bless you.